So the term climate resilience is something that you've probably heard in the news recently, and it's something that also applies to our landscapes. I'm a backyard farmer. If you've watched the show for any length of time, you know that a lot of the recommendations that the panelists give will talk about sustaining plants without a lot of additional pesticides or inputs so that the plants are healthy, good plant selection, right plant, right place, that sort of thing. And certainly creating a resilient landscape at home is the same sort of thing. So you'll want to start off with making sure that you're trying to use native or adapted plants for this area or for the area you're in. And certainly with Nebraska, there are certain parts of the state that may not have a lot in the way of, let's say, overstory tree selection. So you're going to want to look at something that you know will do well in that area, and talking to your local nursery will help you find those right plants for the area. And then we'll look at creating some layers with your planting. So we'll have overstory trees, perhaps one or two in a yard, in a typical residential yard. Then you'll look at adding some understory plants, perhaps like a redbud or a serviceberry or a ironwood. And then some smaller flowering shrubs or maybe fruit-producing shrubs that are good for wildlife and even for you to use. And then perennials and grasses, with the ultimate idea that you will reduce the total lawn space to just what you may need for your own recreational uses in the lawn, and also reduce the amount of work that we have to do on a lawn area, such as fertilizing and watering and that sort of thing. One of the key components to this is making sure that we create some good soil. So if you haven't started composting, starting in composting can be from very simple, not a lot of effort, just kind of piling up organic matter, letting it break down, and eventually using it, which takes longer, versus more active composting where you're stirring it and creating the compost in a relatively short period of time, 6 months or so. But adding compost to your landscape, to your soils, makes a big difference in establishing your plant material and also creating some ability for them to tolerate a variety of weather conditions. You can also use a variety of organic mulches instead of hauling away your leaves. Using your leaves to help mulch some of the plant material will also be one sustainable way of utilizing your plant material that you have in your yard. Some other things to think about when in your lawn, depending on how water runs off of your lawn, you may look at creating rain gardens or areas that capture runoff so that we're not adding to our stormwater systems. So again, kind of thinking about how you're contouring the landscape and how you're using plants to absorb that water before you leave your landscape. How, when it comes off the house, what you're doing with that water so that you're capturing it. So I think the main idea behind creating climate resilient landscapes is to utilize our native plants where we possibly can, adapted plants where we may not have a choice for a native plant, having a variety of layers of plants so that there's some depth to the landscape, and over time that plant material creates its own ecosystem within your yard, which makes it more inviting to birds and other wildlife that may want to use your yard as well. And also, over time, help reduce the amount of maintenance and inputs as far as using fossil fuels or fertilizers in your yard as well.